Now, talking about Kamala Harris, she's been, the candidate now for 2 weeks, but no interviews, Alex, nothing. This is just amazing to me because you would have the easiest time. The questions are probably going to be, well, why are you so brave and how are you going to save America and why is Donald Trump such a racist ogre? But she's still not sitting down with the friendly media. They're being treated with absolute disdain here. What's been the response? Is there any pressure growing for her to sit down and do an interview, not just read from an auto cue?
No, there's not enough pressure. I mean, CNN, MSNBC, this ABC debate that's up in the air, nobody's actually asked Kamala any questions. And I think the one time where she did speak at the prisoner exchange with Joe Biden, she absolutely embarrassed herself. She's not able to read just improv. She can't just naturally have a speech that sounds coherent and clear. She's always saying these very weird word salad answers that don't actually answer the question that she's being asked. So I think it's just a lack of talent. And sadly, I would argue and say that she's even less talented than Joe Biden at public speaking. I mean, Joe Biden has done it a lot longer. And sadly, the wear and tear is showing. But Kamala Harris is not only untalented, she's for lack of a better word, she's dumb. And that's coming from a dumb guy myself. So I'm allowed to say that. I know a lot of viewers are going to get mad, but Kamala Harris is not a rocket scientist, as we say here in the United States.
Well, she's treating the media with absolute disdain, despite the fact that they've gone full North Korean state media for her. The campaign they have run for her, rebranding her as some sort of a visionary leader, when she was always seen as a massive liability for the Biden administration. There have been so many pieces in all the leftist media saying what a problem she has been, how she hasn't lived up to her potential. But now all of that's been buried and forgotten. And I want to just get a little bit more lighthearted with you. There's a clip that's doing the rounds of Kamala dancing with her husband, Doug. It's resurfaced and has gone viral. Now, what's your take on this? Is this just wholesome and sweet, or is it a little bit cringe? What do you think, Alex? It's kind of endearing. I know it's not, it may not be cool. It may not be getting the Zoomers and the millennials going, but it's kind of sweet to see a couple dancing together.
Well, I love to cut a rug, and I actually like that video because now we don't need to do a DNA test. We can tell that Kamala is Indian. I think it's pretty obvious by her dance moves that she probably leans more Indian than African-American. But, on a serious note, I do kind of like it. But, Kamala's problem is not that she acts like an elitist. She was on Vogue with just regular Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. I think she does appeal to, I guess, just normal people. But at the end of the day, she is not capable of running our country. She's going to be a huge liability. We're having a stock market crash right now. Cryptocurrency is crashing. And it's all based on speculation that Kamala Harris might be the president in the near future. And so that's scaring the banks, all these corporations, companies. I mean, Kamala Harris becoming president of the United States could theoretically end the republic in which we have right now.
Well, that's a big call, Alex. Let's not get that dramatic. Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Kamala. He's in also.
I would say, what if everything crashes, Rita? I'm just worried. Yeah.
Nothing surprises me these days. I mean, if you told me 3 weeks ago the President Trump would have come 1 inch from being shot dead and the whole event has pretty much been buried and we've moved on like it never happened, nothing surprises me these days. But this story is something that the Harris campaign are not happy about. Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, it's been revealed that he cheated on his first wife with their child's nanny, getting her pregnant. And the Harris campaign is apparently in panic about this story coming out. Is this going to impact the honeymoon run she's had, or is this just going to create more sympathy? Because at the end of the day, this isn't her fault. It's her husband's sins. Surely no one would be judging Kamala for what her husband did with his first wife.
Well, nobody in America is really going to care that he cheated on his first wife, sadly. Morals are not the most important things to these voters these days. But, I think what this does tell us is why Doug Imhoff's daughter is so disturbed. I mean, you look at her TikToks and her tweets, she looks like a crazy person. And when you compare her to Barron Trump, who is, I guess, top of his class, well respected, kind of shows you that, maybe Doug Imhoff is not as good a dad as he tries to portray himself as.
Well, getting the nanny pregnant is probably not the best thing you can do as a loving husband and father. Now, let's talk about more consequential issues. Two prominent black women who are backing Kamala Harris were caught on a Zoom call slinging racial slurs and using expletives against white voters, particularly white women. Let's have a look.
And we shouldn't have talked about the white women, forget the white women. They're going to do what they white men tell them to do. That's
what they tell themselves.
Now, these comments were made by Cora Masters, Barry and Melanie Campbell. Now, they've visited the White House more than 50 times combined during the Biden administration. The clip's from 2021, but I think that says plenty. There's not much unity in that clip.
Well, Rita, you have, the best segment, Lefties Losing It, and you just explained that DEI basically benefits white women the most. So maybe that she's been, passed over from white women so much, and maybe that's why she has animosity towards white women, because the DEI program that she stands for, those women actually could hurt them. And, really and truly, that woman's probably not that racist. Everybody that's, fighting this social justice or political activism, they like to use rhetoric like that because they think that it, resonates with the people watching. And it probably does to the viewers at home that watch that clip, live. They're probably like, you know what? I'm anti-white. But at the end of the day, the race problem here in America is not as bad as they like to say, on TV. I think that if we do have a natural disaster, people will come together. And that shows our true colors of what makes America strong. But sadly, there is a little bit of racism, but it's not as bad as the TV tells you.
Now, Donald Trump told Fox News that Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg has been in touch with him a few times. He's called him since that near assassination, and he's expressed his admiration for him. But Alex, I'm not trusting Mark Zuckerberg, because you only have to look at Facebook and Instagram to see how it leans left, how they suppress speech, how they mark things and put fact checks on things that don't need fact checks, and how they promote things that are obviously not true. What's your take? Is Mark Zuckerberg really just going to play it straight this election? Because last time around, he donated around $400 million of his own money to fortify the election.
Well, even more important than the money that he donated was just the censorship that he did on Facebook. And if he agrees to not do that this election, I think it'll be a much different outcome. But at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg's coming around. Now that he's a UFC fighter, his testosterone levels are up. So maybe Mark Zuckerberg is MAGA now.
No, I don't think so. I'm not buying it, Alex Stein. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Rita. Always a pleasure.